Family and friends, what's going on? Hope all is well. Thank you for your patience as I get situated. We have a great topic today. First and foremost, my name is Donovan Hilton, standing in agreement on your peace, abundance, and success in life. My eyes are going all over the place. I have a couple of different platforms going on live. It's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at the minimum. If you're on Instagram, sorry for not being able to share the screen, but you can go on to YouTube on LDH Advising's webpage or channel, and you'll be able to watch the actual uh, sharing of the screen and the actual content that we'll be talking about today. But at any rate, again, my name is Donovan Hilton, your host today, your brand strategist, and your leadership coach, and pretty much just helping you position yourself as an authority in your industry and or what you're doing in areas of what you're doing, and to make sure that you're building lasting influence. That's what I love to do. It's been doing it for a long time, and we're going to talk about that today in the areas of public relations and visibility. But this daily insight would not be anything if it weren't for our our presenter for today, www.ldhadvising.com, the website for LDH Advising, your top advisory firm in urban areas. And for those that don't know, LDH Advising is an advisory firm that empowers businesses and individuals to enhance their influence, credibility, and impact through strategic communication, relationship management, and brand development in the areas of consulting, coaching, and public speaking. So thank you for visiting ldhadvising.com to find out more information if these solutions are a good fit for you. And a fun fact, their LDH Advising is offering a free advising assessment. It's real easy. You visit the website, click the assessment button, complete the form, and you'll receive a personalized advising assessment directly in your inbox. And for those that need a little more information, by taking this step, you're achieving your goals with a free, again, advising assessment designed to help you get organized and provide clear direction for your next moves. It's quick, easy, and tailored just for you. If you want deeper insights, upgrade to include a detailed explanation for a small fee. Donovan or a skilled advisor from his team will create a pre-recorded video breaking down your assessment step by step. Don't wait, your path starts here. Click the button now to claim your free assessment. So thank you so much to ldhadvising.com for putting that together as well. And for those that don't know, thank you for visiting LinkedIn and following and sharing the content and information and relationships under or at LDH Advising on LinkedIn. Check out the LDH Advising page and follow on LinkedIn. L as in Lord, D as in Donovan, H as in Hilton Advising. Fun fact, I am a registered Lord of Glencoe in the country of Scotland, courtesy of Highland Titles, just to stimulate conversation, expand a lot of my knowledge, vision, and history. And if you want, if you leave in the comments, if you leave in the comments lordship title, I will send you a 5-minute explainer video breaking down my lordship title. That video is on YouTube, and it's on all my platforms. But if you want me to send it directly to you, just put in the comments lordship title, and I'll get that over to you. So thank you so much for visiting ldhadvising.com. Also, again, thank you for following LDH Advising on LinkedIn, on YouTube, as well as on Instagram and Facebook. LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. There should be some more platforms coming up. But the more that we follow, the more we're able to build. I could do live streams. I want to do live streams on LinkedIn through LDH Advising. That built that up, but that's coming. So, any rate, today's topic. Let's get to it. How to get featured in the media and become a recognized expert. I felt like in this particular one, I have some immediate answers, but I wanted to take time to do some research because in anything in providing information, we always want to make sure that we have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as much as we can when we're presenting information and wanting to receive information. So with that being said, I decided to go ahead and make this not necessarily a workshop, but a workshop of what that answer looks like, not only from my knowledge and experience and background, but through the skill or the skills that I have in research to be able to find out more information in real time so that we can receive as much information about such an important topic simply because with the more media exposures or being featured, that's going to attract more customer bases. That's going to attract more sponsors. It's going to attract, I say sponsors or advertisers because even though, especially in the nonprofit sector, or event marketing, a lot of individuals want sponsorships, but those sponsors want visibility. And one of the most powerful ways you can provide visibility is through the media. So actually adding the media and their visibility of the media in the sponsorship packet or in your offering, once you find out what that offering looks like, is very advantageous because the media has a large audience. It's about building an audience, it's about connecting your message to an audience. And the more quicker and the more audiences that are available, the more valuable you will become. And so I know you want your brand to be valuable, as well as the brands of your partners or vendors or those that your associates. So we want to make sure that again we know as much as we can how to get featured in the media. And a good bad joke is there's plenty of ways to get featured in the media. It has to be a good story, and it has to be a good story, both what one may perceive as positive or negative, and or it has to be impactful to where people that are the demographic of that media outlet would want to continue to keep looking and keep watching. And what your impact could be is something the first of its kind. And so they want to capture that. It's a lot of reasons. And so I'm going to speak on experience as well as what we gathered here. And I'm probably going to take notes in real time as we do this. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'm going to try, or the chat. I'm going to try my best to. I'm going live here, y'all, so y'all can see the screens or whatnot. I'm going to try my best to be able to look at those things. Obviously, the team will be growing, and we'll be able to look down the line, and everything's a lot more polished. But again, you don't have to be great to start. You do have to start to be great, and it's about the process. And if you're not okay with creating or going through a process, and 7 times out of 10 processes are challenging, if you're not okay with that experience or that process of going through the process, then you need to reprocess. That's a bad joke. No, then you need to reassess, what you're doing here. You need to reassess, are you looking to be an authority? Are you looking to be a CEO? Are you looking to have that mindset? Are you looking to, be an ambassador? Because it's the process, creating the process, going through the process that is not only challenging, but also most fulfilling when you look back. And so I've been on so many plateaus that the process is a beautiful thing as you look back, and the more experienced you are, and the quicker you're able to get that experience, the more wiser and authoritative you will become, and not in a negative way, but as a resource, both either through knowledge and information or just sending out good vibes and good intentions for you, because we know the underlying truths and the meaning. So with that being said, we're going to dive into this thing, see what that looks like. If you have questions, put them in the comments. If not, or send me a direct message, and I'll try my best to. I'll try my best to get back to you. But again, thank you for joining me, and it's time to jump into the process and what that looks like. So, okay. All right. So those are some of my immediate thoughts. How to get featured. So I don't know if I should share this story. I will. I will. So I was featured in the media at one time, and you tell me what you think. But the feature of me in the media was based on me having ownership of a organization that may have been sending, I'm going to use the word misinformation. It's not, it wasn't, but it may be perceived as misinformation. And it probably was, but misinformation. And that story got on the news. And the reason why it made the news, and I'm sitting there watching like, wow, it's on the news. And I'm like, I've done a lot of things in this particular territory based on community and business engagement. But the feature ends up being a civics related situation. And I thought I chuckled to myself indirectly because I wasn't expecting to make the news, but it was a high enough impact story that uh, it was featured. It was featured. That people, people actually ran, did the story. Now, for me, that was a very unique time and moment because on the civic side, I perceive myself and walk and as a statesman. I perceive myself and walk as at least the mindset of a statesman, and I say that because I have experience serving as an elected official. I have experience working with and around elected officials. I have experience, going through that process and um, trying to see how to bring that back around. But having experience doing those things, going through those processes, it's two sides to every coin. I'll say it like that. It's two sides to every coin. Jay Smooth, shout out to you, big boss. Blessings to you. Shout out to the Inland Empire Hounds as well. Semi-professional basketball franchise in the Inland Empire, California area. Ranked top 10 in the American Basketball Association. On their way to the Black Division championships in the playoffs, and possibly on their way to the national championships in St. Louis, Missouri. Huge shout out to them. And thank you for the love, Jay Smooth. And definitely follow my man if you're on LinkedIn, Jay Smooth, JDA Smooth. That's two V's, numerical number 1, _ if you can find it there. Has some really exciting highlights as far as his basketball skills. And I'm really advocating for Jay Smooth or schools and nonprofit organizations that work with kids at the minimum to connect with Jay Smooth and the Hounds to get some of their players out there. I'm sure there's a small fee or something, or I'm sure Jay Smooth may do in the house. I'm not quite sure. But, I know he's in the community. But connect with the superstar like Jay Smooth and the Hounds in your community. Can't go wrong. And so bringing it back to the civic story, I've served as a official for youth basketball and baseball, for youth baseball. And those have been intense simply because I have been in the middle of the process. I was in the middle of the process being the decision maker for an activity that a lot of people were, more than welcome, Jay Smooth, more than welcome, all love, and wishing you a safe trip. You and the team back to and fro from San Diego, for sure. And so being in those positions as a youth baseball umpire and a basketball official, basketball referee, being in those positions where you're making decisions on an activity that's so dear to people, to include the parents or the fans, the children that are playing, as well as the coaches. It's very and you're and I when I do things, I try to do things as best I can. And I find myself, I start an organization, I find myself in a leadership position. I say that because after a few years of basketball, even a few games in basketball, I've been a ref for basketball for almost 10 years, for youth basketball, for almost 10 years. And, I'm the one, when I'm in my areas refereeing, I'm the one being asked to referee or officiate the big playoff games. I'm talking about 4 or 5-year-olds and 7 and 8, the 11 to 13s play the big playoff games, the championships, because it gets heated. And I don't make every right call. That's the point of what I'm about to make. I'm bringing it all back around. I don't make every right call. But to be in those positions, knowing like, Lord, please be with me to, make the right calls and not hear, but regardless, you're in that position and you're going to have to do the best you can to be as professional as possible in that position as an official. And what I mean by that is you made a bad call, you made the right call. It doesn't matter. You're trying your best every second. You're trying your best every second to be professional and to provide the quality that's needed to provide a great quality game, if that makes sense. Youth umpiring, youth baseball, that was no joke. I mean, I preferred being the back catcher, or the umpire, and I barely know baseball. I was such a great basketball official that the Parks and Recs director was like, "Hey, we're short staffed. Umpires, can you please come out and umpire?" I was like, "I don't know anything about baseball. I've never played. I played t-ball for a year. I couldn't tell you nothing about baseball." He said, "Please, Danavan, we need you out there." So in the span of 5 weeks, my eldest son took time to help me, and I hope this is going back to the point of the conversation, but just let you guys give you some context of how deep this goes. But my son took some time to help me to go through YouTube and learn baseball rules, the rules of baseball. And so, I'll give you the example. My first or second game, I was behind the plate, and there was a play at third, and I made a bad call. And the coach came out and was like trying to get explanation on why the call was made. And I was like, "Oh, because he passed it over to the other player." And the coach started laughing because pass is a basketball term. And I was supposed to say throw or pitched or whatever. And that's how new I was to the game. And my point is, but I was behind the plate. I heard it all to a point where eventually, even in youth baseball, I was the one, and I could have made bad calls, but I was the one that the parents and the coaches and the administration asked to umpire the big games or the rough ones where there were certain coaches. And again, I did make bad calls, but at the end of the game and by the end of the season, and there were times where at the end of the game, especially in baseball, at the end of the game, I could not leave that field for about 40 minutes because every parent or coach respectfully wanted to tell me their opinion about a play or the game that involved me or did not involve me, or maybe about another game of the past or anything. And I took time to listen, and I took time to learn. I took time to learn to be patient as well. And by the end of the game or by the end of the season, people respected the walk and the process that I was presenting and providing, even though I was in the wrong or they were in the wrong or whatever. So being in a position where you have to have thick skin, being in a position where you're a part of the process of the challenges. So, for example, someone's going to lose the game. We already know that. But for that to happen, the official has to officiate to make the game happen so we can determine a winner or loser. And an official, a lot of times, ends up being a loser simply because they're in the process where people don't, or that dictate what's going on with them. But it's a part of the process. And that's why I not enjoy, but I enjoy being in those middle wedges, if you will. I'm gonna use the word like Kevin, I'll pause. Respectfully, no homo, that's a bad joke, but a bad joke. My bad jokes are inspired by. I want to shout out Michael Scott, The Office, the character Michael Scott, Steve Carell. I pronounced it correctly. That character has inspired me to bring out my bad jokes because they're bad jokes. So anyway, you find you're in being in those positions where those unique positions where it's a part of the process that people don't know that part is there to actually make the process happen, or it's a part where people don't want to tolerate. And it's those that tolerate those very unique, challenging processes, or know that those unique, challenging processes are there to make everything go round or for the process to continue. Those are the ones that, you know, I'm not even going to say what that is, but those are the ones that exist, and they're very much needed in order, especially if you're doing it professionally and integral. And I say that to say, you know, even in the position of me being recognized in the media at that time and seeing myself and seeing others and them leaving their opinion about, you know, why I was featured in that art in that news segment, I have to respect it. And I couldn't get upset. And it was a professional, because I didn't do anything like, you know, like wrong or anything like as far as that aspect. But in the world of civics, it's a shaky game. You know what I mean? And so, and I've been in many campaigns. I ran for, you know, like I said, ran for office, been around campaigns from the local to the federal level, to include um, alder members, council members, general session judges, district attorneys, chancellery court judges and clerks, mayoral, House of Representatives, Senate, um, all kind of. I mean, all it just it and it's fascinating, you know, and that's why I want to share these experiences. And so we're going to talk about, after that 30 minutes of sharing my, and again, I've been featured in the news for a lot of different things, but I wanted to share that one because it was a feature. And again, you can be featured for what one may perceive as positive impact, or be featured in what one may perceive as negative impacts. We're going to break all that down, if that makes sense. And I wanted to share a little bit about the experience and the knowledge that I have as to why this is a very, very good topic to speak on, how to get featured in the media. And so with that being said, let's first jump into how to get featured in the media. I'll just say this off the back for what I know immediately. Now, featured, when I think of being featured in the media, I'm thinking of, well, at the same time, it depends on what you look at as featured, because you can be featured in a situation where the media is asking you to be a part of it and to join, or you can be featured in the media where they're not asking you. And for good reason or not good reason, you're highlighted. So I want to share, I guess, at the same time, the pros and the cons of being featured in the media. And that's why I want to share the story. And I'd rather share a con with you at any time than a pro of my stories, because it's about learning. It's about going through, it's about being vulnerable. It's about learning. It's about building yourself, empowering yourself. And it's the challenges and these experiences that you go through, a perseverance that others can help, you know, gravitate to and build and grow on. And so I don't want to give you no fluff, because I can give you fluff, you know, but there's ways that, you know, there's all kind of, there's layers to it. So in this case, we're just going to keep it to a point where we're saying being featured where the news media they're reaching out to you. We'll start it off like that first, where they're reaching out to you and they're saying, hey, we want to highlight, you know, what you're doing. I'm going to shout out my friend, Brother JC Shegog. Brother JC Shegog. He's in the Nashville, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee area. J as in junior, C as in church. SHEGOGG, I believe. JC Shegog. Thank you, Brother JC, for your service. He's a veteran in the military. And I want to say he was special ops to some degree, where he did high-powered combat training, physical self-defense and physical combat, as well as high-powered weapons to include firearms and other weapons. And so since he was honorably discharged from the military, and again, thank you, JC, for your service, he has gone around through his consulting company and business, providing training and education in the areas of combat, and not only the physical combat, but the mental aspect of combat, how to protect yourself in self-defense, and firearm training. And he's done this from what I know, it's his business, but I know that he would do this from the kindness of his own heart, as far as why this information that he's sharing is so important. So I don't know if he started the business, providing the service for free, or if he started the business working with, charging. But I do know I connected with Brother JC through a community activity of like-minded men, and he was providing his training and knowledge and insight on the house at the time for a group of community residents. And that's, and he's a busy man. He doesn't have to quite do that, but that's how we met. And that's how the communities that he serves highly respects him, and he has the influence because he goes to different communities that may not have the financial means. I'm not hoping I'm putting your business out there like that, Brother JC, but he goes to those communities that may not have the financial means, and he provides combat training, self-defense training, as well as using that through as a health and wellness situation or experience, as well as firearm training. And I know his work is and his information is valuable because I've learned so much. And I know, and I've gone through throughout the cities and counties of various pockets of urban areas where JC has provided training, and he has the respect of, of that base. And I say that so much that it was not a surprise. I don't know how it happened, but I know that his impact in the community of providing firearms training, firearm education, combat and self-defense training, and combat and self-defense education for young men, especially for the elderly, for just anyone in those urban areas that wanted to get this free information to better empower themselves. He was there. And I just end up looking up and seeing him being featured on the local news stations, now just providing insight and being behind the panel. And it warmed my heart because that was an individual that deserved to be recognized. And that's going back to our title. He deserved to be recognized as an expert because, one, he was providing expert information and service without the recognition. So if you're looking to get the recognition, then focus on providing the recognized solutions or strategies or processes or outputs to get the recognition. And I'll say that to say, when I was promoted from an admissions representative to the director of admissions at a career college, the campus director and the regional director of admissions came to me and said, Donovan, we're offering you the job because you've been working at a level of a director of admissions without getting paid for it. And now that the opportunity has presented itself, we want to give you the money, and the opportunity in the position. Excuse me, I'll just put in my charger real quick. And so hopefully this works, Lord. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a commercial break, y'all. I'm gonna shout out my man, Joe T. Baker. Joe T. Baker is a great, influential. That's another person when you want to talk about how to get featured in the media and become a recognized expert. Joe T. Baker, commercial break me, please. Joe T. Baker is an individual that served 10 years of incarceration in different correctional facilities in the state of Tennessee, and was released after 10 years and wrote a book focused on a particular faith, and wrote a book and went out and started shopping the book and sharing his story of what led him to become incarcerated and his stories while being incarcerated. And I believe he gave some away, then started charging $20, or maybe started charging $20 off the bat. And I ran into him through a friend of his in a particular area. And at the time, Joe T. Baker was in a different state promoting his book, and it was growing, and he was getting a following base, and he was doing TikTok and YouTube shorts, sharing his story, a story that caught your attention. And he said, okay, if you want to hear the rest, get my book. And that strategy at the minimum got him to a point where he was able to exponentially grow his base. He started a entertainment production company, actually creating episodes and movies of his experiences before being incarcerated and then being incarcerated. And he was featured in, dang, I forgot what it's called. He's featured with is it 605 South? I got it. I'm not gonna do him like that. He was featured in with DC Young Fly and my man. I should know both their names, and so forgive me for not knowing my man's name. Very very, very well recognized. And that's on me, big dog. Let me see. 605 South. I forgot what that's called. But it's very well respected, and I do check it out myself. 80885. Let me make sure. The 85, the 85 South show with Carlos Miller and DC Young Fly. So I want to make sure I give my proper respects. The 85 South show with Carlos Miller, DC Young Fly, and Chico Bean. These are all great entertainers in my book. And so Joe T. Baker was featured on the 85 South show, and it also took his following base to another level. And so again, we're talking about how do we make sure we recognize ourselves as an expert to be featured in the media. So now that we're back, I was adjusting my charger. I want to go back to my friend J.C. Shegov. And so I happened to look up and just seen him in the media. And at the time, he was providing just information about self-defense training. And I think at one point, and just he was doing segments on that. Then eventually he started getting on the news to be featured on to talk about police shootings, that happened, and what we should be aware of as citizens or the situation. And he started to become no different than if you're familiar with the NFL or the NBA. When you watch the game and a play is called and the play may not make sense or maybe a bad call, then they'll ask their broadcaster, retired referee that's on the broadcasting team, what the call was about or their perspectives. And if the referee might say that was a good call or a bad call, even on the referee, the panel referee that's retired in broadcasting, that's watching the game, may say that the referee that's actually officiating the game may have made a bad call, or whatever the case may be. So my point is, J.C. Shegov ended up putting himself in a position where not only did he start getting featured on the media, talk about self-defense and firearm training, but eventually when situations happen with police shootings, they called him on to get his expert advice on the perspectives and the process and what we may or may not be thinking about. And he started to be seen, obviously, as an expert. And then there were other situations. I can't give you no other examples immediately, but there were other situations where he started to come on to speak more on his expertise. And so, again, it's back to one of my immediate answers. Okay, it's like, how do you get featured? Okay, well, you have to start how to get recognized how to be seen as a recognized expert. Let me read it again to you. How to get featured in the media and become a recognized expert. So I think if we were to take those two parts to that sentence, we would want to first focus on being a recognized expert first. That way, you will be featured in the media. Because if you end up getting featured in the media first, without necessarily being recognized as an expert, you're probably getting featured because you made a huge impact, probably in a positive way, that deserved that quick attention from the media, because someone's going to cover the story, or it's a story that their demographic and segment follows, or you're going to be featured for something that may probably not be the best look for you, and their followers and their base may want to know it. So the feature aspect is cool and it's a focus, but again, there's no you can't get featured in the media one way or the other. But the first focus would be, if we were looking at priorities, would be to focus on being a recognized expert. And so bringing it back to JC Shegog and even Joe T. Baker, and you can find Joe T. Baker at jtb3.org. That's J as in Joe, T as in Tom, B as in Baker, the numerical number 3.org. And you can find out more about his work. And so, not to lose too much off track, but that's what both JC Shegog and let me get JC Shegog's information up here too while we're shouting folks out. And I want to stand in agreement with JC Shegog and his life, his family. I know him personally, and he's been a great friend and mentor. I've always been fortunate to be around men that were family men, that were professionally based. And there were a lot that weren't professionally based, but there were a lot that were professionally based. What I mean by that is they were, professional in whatever the profession was. It could be in automotives, it could be in law enforcement, it could be in community service, it could be in education, it could be whatever. It could be in custodial, whatever. I was around people that took what they did seriously as far as a profession, used their earned income to try to create passive income where they could, and provide strong support and service to their communities, to their families, to themselves, and to their associates, which included me. And JC Shegog is definitely one of those individuals. And you can find him at jcshegog.com. J as in Jeff, C as in church, SHEGOG, forgive me.com. So it's not two G's at the end, OG. I want to go ahead and just put the website up. Armed and Educated RBG. Make sure it's my man, first of all. Yeah, this is JC. Check him out. Here he is. So this is what we're gonna, and I wish I can share my screen on Instagram, but I'm not gonna do that. So just go to my YouTube channel, Instagram, and you can see the screen. But here's JC being featured, in the media. And especially if you're someone with a nonprofit or a business, you're looking to grow, these media pictures on your promotional material say 1,000 words, because the media is not messing with you unless you are a recognized expert in what you do, and not in the media's world, but in the world that the media serves, which is usually the community, the residents, at the minimum. So I want to shout him out. And since we're here, look, here's another one. He's walking through. Here's another one, y'all. He's walking through, and let's see if we get the music. Let's turn it up. Come on. Come on. Come on. So I'm gonna leave it there. And that's why I'm so fortunate with my network. These are the type of individuals that I'm hanging around, and I'm fortunate to hang around. These are the type of men, and respectfully, men of color, so-called African American men, that I have a chance to be around. And I know as African American men, so-called, we are all working our best to be the best we can. But and in addition to that, JC Shegog, even though we all fall short, is doing an excellent job, just helping to set the standard for all of us. And the thing about working together is, as we all work together to be better individually, we end up indirectly raising the standards as we're both growing. And it's not pressure to anyone else, as each individual trying their best to do their thing. And then we come together to work as a team. And how JC and I really built our personal and professional relationship was actually through meeting at least once a month, once per month, to go pick up trash in a underserved community for about an hour, and then go hang out, get something to eat, type stuff. And we've been able to build from that. So, and we, so I'm going to put in here, I'm going to put in Joe T. Baker, and I hope I hope this is sufficient as far as information, because I just want to give you some stories. Here's another one. We're talking about how to get featured in the media and become a recognized expert. So why not actually, show people in real time who we know, and what I want to show you as well. Let's see. This is his work with his media. I want to shout out Traps. Y'all take a look. It's on Tubi. It's on Tubi, man. Great. This is how he started off right here, sharing these stories, and they were good stories, actually. Again, he was featured in, look, he was featured in the media. In this one, was he not? How to get featured in the media and become a recognized expert. So he was featured in the media, and he may have been an expert in what he was being featured in the media for, or he may not have been. But we don't know that if he was reading it for the first time. How I escaped jail. Robertson County Sheriff's Office said 3 employees so far have been terminated as part of their investigation into how a murder suspect escaped from the county detention center. Joe Thomas Boo Baker, so Joe Thomas Boo was his nickname, Baker III, escaped Monday at 2 a.m. Robertson County Sheriff's Department Detective Scott Jones said that when Baker returned to his holding cell after being out to shower, correctional officers mistakenly failed to lock his cell door. They opened the door, exterior electric door, for someone else, and he ran out. So I'll leave it at that. But these are the kind of stories and individuals. Sheriff's Office fires 3 officers after inmates escapes, that I get a chance to grow and learn from. And look, he was featured in the media. But look here. Now he's bestseller author for his book. I want to read the stories, but I want you all to check it out. Take a look for yourselves. So I'm surprised to see he doesn't have his 8-5 South one up here. It might be here. I could be missing it. But these are real-time situations here. So make sure you connect with my friend JC Shegog as well as Joe T. Baker. And so bringing it back, we want to first focus on becoming a recognized expert, because as you do that, you will then be recognized as an expert and eventually be sought after to be featured in the media. So, for example, we're going to use my man, Jay Smooth, for example. Jay Smooth, I know he's a busy man. He hoops. He has his career going. But for example, Jay Smooth takes time to. Jay Smooth again is the gentleman that's on Instagram Live, and he's joining and watching us. And so he is a basketball player for the semi-professional American Basketball Association franchise, the Inland Empire Hounds. Again, they're ranked number 10, I think, out of over 200 teams nationally, ranked number 10, and they're on their way to the divisional championship in their conference to hopefully take a trip to the national championships in St. Louis, Missouri in April. And so we'll use Jay Smooth as an example, where he can take his skills and provide training for free or for charge at schools, or at community centers or at schools. And in that, I want to shout out Pickup USA. In this conversation, I want to shout out Pickup USA, specifically Pickup USA San Bernardino. They are your premier, if you're in the Inland Empire area, they are your premier private basketball facility that allows you to go play pickup games, organized pickup games with officials, with other private members of the gym. A lot of them are hardworking individuals to play some basketball. They have a nice little lounge area. They also provide a station, very professional, to exercise and to train. And they do have access to, and they do provide professional training and basketball, as well as strength training, dietary training as well at the minimum. So check out Pickup USA when you can. But back to my man Jay Smooth. Jay Smooth can go to community centers, Pickup USA, or the school to say, hey, I'm going to provide this basketball training physically, or I'm going to provide some, a workshop where I'm talking to the kids and sharing my story of what I did or did not do, what you should or should not do. You do this enough, and eventually people will start to recognize you as an expert. You will start to build that influence, and people will start to actually ask you to join or to visit and to demonstrate, either physically through your skills and talents or through your words, this information. And that will get picked up by the news. And if you want to speed that process up, you can create a short, short, engaging explainer video that you can always send into the media, be it news stations, print outlets, social or online digital media, and say, hey, look, this is a story that you may want to feature. And when it comes to being featured in these media outlets, timing is everything. Timing is everything. And one of the things that JC Shigov was able to provide that was valuable for the news, and they were able to run with it or build a long-term working relationship, is dealing with things that consisted of safety, public safety. That's very essential. So when you have someone with the background of military, of law enforcement, of community engagement, they're kind of a bridge, and they're able to speak on public safety, be it school challenges, a business challenge, as far as, like you said, someone trying to break and enter, or self-defense, children, making choices, adults making choices in those areas of safety, of combat and firearms. He's eligible to speak, so you definitely want to make sure, again, that you're focusing on becoming that expert. And I believe, so Jay Smooth can send that out to the media. They'll take a look at it, and in the right time. That's the thing about it. In the right time. And with JC Shigov, the time was right because there were things that may consistently pop up that require his insight, but you can create that opportunity for yourself. There's a lot of other great, solutions and questions, or solutions and information I can give. I'm going to look at, see how long we've been doing this. 48 minutes. 48 minutes. Okay, I'm going to try to wrap this up here. Again, I want to thank ldhadvising.com for powering this conversation. ldhadvising.com is the website to LDH Advising, your top advisory firm in urban areas, making sure that your business is empowered to enhance your influence and credibility and impact through strategic communication, relationship management, and brand development. So reach out to LDH Advising for consulting, for coaching, or public speaking opportunities as well. So we're going to bring it back. Let's see if there's anything that I want to just leave it there. I can elaborate or jump into more details, but I just want to give you just an overall view of what all came to my mind when the topic of how to get featured in the media, how to get featured in the media and become a recognized expert, what that looked like. So I hopefully you recognize that you can get featured in the media without you having to do anything. If that makes sense. If your story is impactful enough to get some airtime, then you may be featured. And I gave you a story where I felt like I shouldn't have been featured, but it was news media worthy to get featured. So we want to learn off the bat that you don't have to do anything, do too much to be featured in the media, as long as what you're doing is recognizable, possibly to the audience and followers of said media. And there was nothing that I said about the media, so that's a bad joke. But so we got to keep that in mind. Other than that, you really want to focus on becoming a recognized expert first. And we can do a whole other video on that. If you want me to do a video on that, type in the comments, recognized expert, and we can jump into that conversation. But ultimately, you want to focus on becoming a recognized expert first. And I gave you 2 stories and 1 example of how that can happen through J.C. Shegog and Joe T. Baker. You had one that was military and law enforcement and was providing combat and self-defense training and education and firearms self-defense training and education to residents and businesses, to a point where he was able to get onto the media to provide that same education, to the point where the media came in and invited him to be featured in more detail in real life situations of, the experiences that were going on in the areas of combat and firearms, if you will. Another example I gave you was Joe T. Baker. This was an individual that did not have a background of law enforcement or military. This was someone that was doing the best they could to survive with their mindset at that time and their environment they were in, and found himself making choices that landed him to be incarcerated for 10 years. And when he was, and there's a story to that I need y'all to check out. And when he was released, through his faith, created a opportunity through a book in which he sold and gave away, shared his story on social media. And again, he was being recognized as an expert because, one, he created a book that documented his experiences and his insight that he was able to sell or give away. That book was greater supported by him creating social media content, sharing a story that captured his followers, growing following base's attention about his experience of incarceration or prior to incarceration and what he learned from it, and directed people to buy the book if they wanted to hear the second half of the story. That took him to a point where he was able to get recognized, in this case, at the minimum, through the media of online media, through the 85 South show. And that's why I wanted to shout out the 85 South show, because to me, that's a big deal. And I remember when they started, when those 3 individuals, Carlos Miller, Chico Bean, and DC Young Fly, and I wanted to say y'all name without looking at the documents because I respect y'all work. And I didn't happen to know your names at the time like that. I didn't want to mess it up. But the point is, I think that's a big deal because I know Chico Bean, Carlos Miller, and DC Young Fly, and got to know their story a little bit, and they decided to create this platform, and I saw it grow to where it's a respected platform. And to see that grow and to see Joe T. Baker be able to be featured on that platform in my community, that's a pretty big deal. And so I wanted to shout out. And so that's Joe T. Baker's way. So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything right. It's about you just becoming an expert. First, become an expert in what you do, which means for you to become an expert, you got to go through those challenges. You got to go through those processes. That brings me back to, you have to be okay with going through the process. You have to be okay with going through the process, and the process is so hard. You could be right now homeless, right now watching this, but you're looking to stay focused, but you're in that process. And I stand in agreement again, because we all could be in any situation, that those visions you have and those goals are achieved, but they are achieved because you created and went through a process. So that's why I want to stand in agreement on the process of the process for you to be strong enough and to discipline yourself enough to go through the process to be able to be seen and to call yourself an expert. I can't call myself an expert if I didn't go through no processes. And I just gave you a process I went through. I gave you a process of being on the media without wanting to be featured. And I gave you a process of me being an official through youth basketball and through youth baseball and those challenges. They hit me with the problems. They hit me with the bad calls. They hit me with, I saw coaches kick trash cans respectfully, good people. Call was made. Oh, and they say it was like the third to sixth bad call. Whatever. It's a close game to help you position your team and for a good standing or ranking for the playoffs that's going to start in a few weeks. So this is a game you want to win. Maybe it's a bunch of bad calls all game. 7 to 9-year-olds. The reality situation was the call was made. The coach takes the commercial-sized trash can that was next to the basketball court, kicks the trash can. The trash can goes flying with all the food. It's a Saturday morning, so everybody's at the community center. Everybody's running around. Food flies onto the court, and the coach walks out the building. And bad call on my end, possibly, but stopped the game. Had to pick up the food. I mean, you got barbecue sauce, all kind of nacho cheese, snotty nose tissue, all kind of stuff to clean the court up. Of course, some of the players on the coach's team that kicked the trash can are riled up. You got other coaches talking about, give him a tech. Why are you still here? You got all that going. I understand. I get it. Clean it up. I go outside where the coach is sitting on the stairs. And I said, Coach, take your time. Please join us when you're ready. He looked up and said, I apologize about that. I said, no worries. It happens to the best of us. Let's get out here and just try our best. Thank you for your patience. We're going to try our best. And let's just get out here and do what we got to do for these kids. And we got out there. He tried his best to stay calm for the rest of the game. He tried his best. And I promise you, that did not stop the fact that for the rest of the season, that didn't mean he slowed down. For the rest of the season, he still gave the officials a hard time, me included in the game, or I'll be coaching. I'll be officiating the game on the next court, right next door, the next court. And I'm hearing him, and I'm watching him give the officials on the other court a hard time. And it was still love, all love. And even I coached a next couple more seasons, and he was always there. And he always provided that same passion and animation. So again, you become an expert by going through those processes, and you become a recognized expert by going through those processes enough and going through them enough to where you start to get the influence and credibility from your community. And that's another conversation. And I would say, if you get a chance, check out my video that I did. It was a live stream that I did. If I can find it. There's a point to that. The word that I said that made me think of something, but I can't find it. It'll come back to me. Anyway, yeah. So I hate that I didn't find it, but anyway, yeah. So you go through the process enough, and you'll become expert, and you'll become influential. You'll build that influence. It's coming to me. Yeah. So check out my video. The secrets to positioning yourself as an authority in any industry. The secrets to positioning yourself as an authority in any industry. Check out my live stream. I break that down where you take your consistent work and you do it consistently enough to where others start to recognize your work and have to respect it, and eventually direct people over to you, and eventually are accepting that you are in positions of thought leadership because you are of your consistent expertise that's now being recognized to a point where the public knows it, and eventually the media catches on. You know, but what you really want to focus on is get your business, get your community residents and community groups engaged and recognized with you. You get your, if you can, your local elected officials engaged and recognized with you. Why? And they're your easiest because they are naturally going to engage in the community. Your residents are going to engage in the community and with you because they are living there, working there, they're playing there. The elected officials are going to engage with you and in the community because they are elected there. They have to look out for that constituent base. The next phase is then to start engaging with the business professionals. And that's a little different because time is money. They're working for someone, they're working for themselves, so time is money. And if you're not bringing a value to them, then they don't have a right. They don't see a right where they have to deal with you respectfully. And another and highest level is the media, where the media knows that they are the communication source. They get a bombardment of stories and they're constantly looking for stories. So you have to really be recognizable in the community, in the civics with the government, bypassing or going through the business sector to where the media recognizes you. What I mean by that, J.C. Seagal connected with the community and worked closely with elected officials, had good relationships because of community engagement. They did activities together. When I was out picking up trash with J.C. Seagal, there were elected officials out there picking up trash. It was a community activity, and we built relationships to where he got that base. You saw the value he brought was for businesses because he was showing businesses how to protect their assets, to protect their cash flow, their profits, their sustainability, the jobs. And eventually all that got recognized by the media. So there's layers to it. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna leave it there. If you want me to jump into this conversation more, just leave those details in the comments or send me a direct message. I thank you for liking, following, subscribing, and sharing this content to all your friends. And I thank you for, if there's a link anywhere for you monetarily donating in the amount you felt this message was worth to you to the platform, so we can continue to keep this going. And I gave you an example of how one may be able to build their expertise to gain recognition, to be able to be featured in the media by my friend Jay Smooth, continuing to do what he does as he plays for the Inland Empire Hounds, an American Basketball Association semi-professional basketball franchise based in Southern California. Hey, wishing everybody the best. Stand in agreement on your continued success and prosperity. I'm logging off, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.